Recently, there have been many questions about potential or actual mistakes that happen in fertility labs. Many people asking what's exactly going on in the lab, how can we prevent it, what will be the ramifications of such mistakes. It should be stated that the labs are very, very particular to make sure that there's no mistake, to make sure that there is a definite lineage that leads from the parents through to the child, that there's absolutely no question asked. But of course, the labs are very, very particular, but also very hard worked. There's also a tremendous amount of pressure. It's also talking about the most personal, the most intensive part of what a person is, their genetic material. And therefore, there have been mistakes and there can be mistakes. And to prevent mistakes, we at Puah have an entire system of supervision to make sure that there's no possibility of a mistake being made. We have observers throughout the world. Wherever there are centers where there are Jews and there is fertility treatment, we are able to observe to ensure that no mistake can possibly happen, in order to make sure that there's a clear lineage of who the child is and who the parents are. In a case where there is a mistake, as there happened recently, in which a child is born after there was a mistake, after the sperm was taken from one person to another, from one man to another, what is the status of the child? If we're talking about a case in which the donor, the person who gave the sperm, is not Jewish, then there's not a question of lineage. Then the child, since the mother is Jewish, the child will be Jewish, and there's not a question that he'll be able to get married. But when we're talking about a case in which there was a mistake between two Jews, then there's a much more complicated case, because then there's a possibility that one of the men maybe has a problem to get married. Maybe he's what's the halachic category of a mamzer, who's not able to marry. In such a case, is the child, does he inherit that status? Is he also unable to get married? In a case in which there was regular conception, the answer would be that he is. But in the case in which it's in vitro fertilization, where it's a fertility treatment, then many poskim, although not all, will hold that the child is considered to be legitimate. Even though there is a question mark, he can be able to get married. What, though, is the relationship between the man and this child? Is the man considered to be the father? He has the obligations that a father has to his son? And especially in a case in which he doesn't even know that he's the father. If a man came and he gave his sperm in intention to become the father, that's one situation. But what about when there was a mistake and he now becomes unwittingly the father? In such a case, generally we can say that many poskim will hold that he doesn't have the obligations of a father. However, it is still a question mark. It's still not so clear. So therefore, that reiterates why it is so important, why it's imperative to have observation, to have supervision, to ensure that no mistake can happen, that there can't be a possibility of a question mark of the legitimacy and the lineage of the child and the relationship between the child and its parents.